Warmaster Horus Lupercal dispatched the 9th Legion of the Space Marines, the Blood Angels, to the Cygnus Cluster, telling them that the Nephilim Xenos species had established itself there and needed to be purged. When the Blood Angels arrived at their destination, however, they discovered that things were not as they were meant to be. There were no Nephilim to defeat in the system. There were no humans to save but for a handful. The planets themselves were transformed into unreal living things, seemingly cursed in ways that could not be imagined. And there was a new foe to fight, an enemy that defied the Imperial truth itself, an enemy that was like a plague on the existence of mankind, an enemy that seemed to be able to change reality and physics, an enemy that sought to pervert both the senses and the soul, and an enemy that sought to unleash the inner rage of the Blood Angels and bind them into the service of a new, dark and bloody master. These Demons of the Ruinstorm were like no threat that the Imperium had faced before. They will be available to play in Horus Heresy Legions in 4 days' time, and today we will be taking a look at the first of their cards. We start with Plague Toad, a 1 energy cost rare or green troop. This card is really good. Its stats alone are excellent value for a mere 1 energy. It has 1 attack, which is average, but also 3 health, which is exceptional at this energy cost. If the card had these values alone and nothing else, it would still be worth including in your deck, as there are many occasions when playing a 1 energy unit is helpful, be it in your first turn or later in the match whenever you have a spare point of energy left over. But there is more. Plague Toad also has Relentless, so each time that it survives the enemy turn, it will put in play a free copy of itself. So it's a great troop who can keep cloning itself. What is there not to love with this little guy? Nurgle's gifts to us are truly great. I can see that actually a great card to play in combination with these guys will be Hellspawn from the Chaos deck, which will turn them into a 3 attack, 4 health unit that copies itself if it survives until its turn. Very nasty indeed. But before we move on, I want you to notice one more interesting aspect of this card. It is a demon, but it has no maintenance cost. This seems to imply that unlike other factions in the game, the Demons of the Ruinstorm will not have to lose energy every turn just because they have demon troops in play. Of course, existing demons with maintenance cost will probably still have that effect when played by Demons of the Ruinstorm. The next card that we will look at is another demon troop, this time a common, the Plagueridden. Coming in at 5 energy, they have very average stats. They have 4 attack, which is below average, and 6 health, which is above average. But they bring to you a handy party trick. They can create cards in your hand. Whenever a demon troop on the board dies, you get to have a copy of that troop created in your hand. Being able to replay all of those Plague Toads that die is useful enough. But here's another nasty combo that comes to mind. Are you familiar with that incredible sense of relief when you feel when you finally manage to kill your enemy's Rhea the Seducer? But now, imagine if Rhea and the Plagueridden are both in play at the same time. If Rhea dies first, the Demons of the Ruinstorm player will just get another copy of Rhea in their hand. A point to note here is that although not explicitly stated on this preview card, Plagueridden's ability only activates when friendly demons die, so Wordbearer Warlords can breathe a sigh of relief. Nevertheless, with Demons of the Ruinstorm decks being bound to contain many demons, you will be sure to get plenty of value from your Plagueridden troops. Running out of cards in your hand is one of the surest ways of losing matches in Horus Heresy Legions, and so Plagueridden will be a welcome and useful part of many players' demon decks, despite their average statistics. The last card we will be looking at today is an epic rarity or orange tactic card, Unspoiled Land, a tactic which costs just 1 energy. Demons of Chaos are particularly drawn to new places which they can bring to ruin, and this tactic reflects that very well. When you play it, you draw a card from your deck. Now that alone for 1 energy would be exceptional value. For example, you can compare that to the Warlord Horus's active ability, which is spend 2 energy to draw a card. But this tactic does more than that, because if the card which you draw is a demon, you get to create a copy of it in your hand as well. This means that in troop heavy decks, you are quite likely to be able to effectively add 2 cards to your hand for spending just 1 energy, which is incredible value. Lectitio Divinatus is a similar card. You spend 1 energy and you get to draw 2 cards out of your deck, but it has the drawback that your opponent gets to also draw a card as well. But Unspoiled Land excites me for one additional reason as well. What if the demon that you draw is a legendary card? Well then, you will get a copy of that as well. This makes this one of the very few cards in the game that could allow you to play multiple copies of the same legendary troop in one match. I hope that this preview has given you a sense of what the Daemons of the Ruinstorm playstyle will be. I see them as a faction that's going to have many ways of generating troops during matches to overwhelm their enemies with. I love the way that their cards pay homage to the 40k lore, and I'm really looking forward to fighting you all in the new event when it starts on Friday. So until I meet you on the battlefield, bye for now guys.